What's going on, guys? I'm back again today because another topic hit my mind the other day, and I feel like this is something that I have gone through for many, many years. And once again, I do this because I feel like I've had experiences where I've dealt with some things that I can really help other people who might be going through a similar thing. And that topic today is being a perfectionist. And I think the question is your perfectionism, if that's a word, stopping you from being creative? Is it stopping you from being prolific? And the reason that I feel like I can speak on this is because that is who I am. I am a perfectionist. And I feel like I can talk about the music stuff that kind of makes sense in this conversation, because when it comes to audio levels, when it comes to different sounds, when it comes to vocal takes, when it comes to basically the whole arrangement of a song, it needs to be close to perfect. But then you kind of sit there for a second and you say, well, what is the definition of perfect? Like, perfect to me means something, but what is perfect to, I don't know, that listener of mine who lives in Utah? Like, what is perfect to them? Does my level of perfection matter to a listener when it comes to my art? And this applies to everything, even outside of the spectrum of music. This it makes sense with artists. It makes sense with business people, with projects, with building, with everything, because we are kind of raised and cultured to, when it comes to our work, it needs to be as close to perfect as possible. I mean, mathematics is perfection. Like, if the answer is 50 and you say 49.99, the answer is not correct. The correct answer is 50. So I feel like there's just a lot of things that we as humans sort of rely on in our minds, that we have to make everything exactly perfect with our work. When it comes to everything, when it comes to our image, when it comes to what we're posting on social media, we have to be happy. Like, we can't seem like we're going through something, or we can't seem like, we're going through a tough time, or things aren't going so well at work, or my grades haven't been the best. It's no, we're posting the perfect version of ourselves. But when it comes to the creativity, or your business, or your work, or any of that kind of stuff, I think that when you're a perfectionist, that can harm you from being the most creative version of yourself at times. And let me explain why. When you're striving for perfection, you're doing more in-depth, nitty-gritty tasks on that project to make it seem more perfect. You're kind of, it's a shape of a circle that you're trying to fit into a square, and you're doing whatever it takes to make it fit. When at the end of the day, I think that every, successful artist or architect or anyone would tell you that their greatest work, like the number one piece of content or art or creation of whatever they've done, has imperfections in it. Like, I think that any artist would say, listening back to like their final bounce, their final master of their number one hit song, they would go back and say, I think that bass could have been a little bit louder, or that keyboard could have been panned slightly to the left, or I could have made those drums hit a little bit harder. I think that every single artist has at least a few songs where they could say, if they could have gone back, they would have done something a little bit different. But the funny thing is, the version that they put out that became successful was the perfect version of that product for it to do well. So I think that you come to terms with working on something for so long, and that when it's extending past the kind of time where the passion has been sucked out of it, it's not the same anymore. And I've experienced that. I've spent so much time on songs, or even writing. When I'm writing like a scene, if I'm like writing a pilot or like a short, I've worked on it for so long that it has lost its juice a little bit, and I've kind of squeezed out every little option of what could be great about that thing. I have literally tried to skeletalize it, and I've broken it completely down. I have shifted things around. I mean, the song that's coming out later this month that I'm doing, I produced the whole song. I recorded all the vocals, and I went back and I basically muted all of the instruments and just left the vocals, and I reproduced the entire thing because I was sitting on the song for so long, and I got into my head. I was like, wait, maybe this sound isn't like what people are going to listen to right now. And I went back in and I kind of just restructured the song in terms of the arrangement of it. So this is why I'm telling you in real time, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm dealing with this kind of thing right now as we speak. So I guess my message is to all the people out there who are creating things. In the beginning stages, when your stuff isn't getting a lot of, traction, if it's not getting a lot of views, or if your songs aren't getting a lot of listens, or you're just not getting a lot of eyes on what you're creating, we need to be using those times. Like, you need to be using those times to get better and to make your craft better. So what I'm telling you is, it doesn't need to be perfect. I think that when you've gotten yourself to a certain point where you're really successful and things are kind of happening and you have a lot of eyes on you and you have a large audience, or you're very successful, you've risen up the ranks at your job, I think that yes, you have to be a little bit more calculated and things have to be very, very good. The product has to be very, very good. But for the majority of people who are just trying to get their stuff out there, I think that you are hindering yourself by not just putting things out and not worrying about this little audio level or this little shape or this little paragraph that you've reworked 5 times over, but you've literally wasted so many days or weeks or months and the thing hasn't been put out yet. And I was at a conference this past weekend, and I talked to a young lady who basically was telling me that, she feels a little bit uncomfortable in front of the camera and she wants to put out content and encourage people. And I thought that was so amazing. I'm like, hey, that's so cool that you want to do that. That you want to use a platform to better people's lives. But she told me, she's like, but I don't really feel that comfortable in front of the camera. Like when I turn it on, it's just, it's hard to be, natural. And I said, that's okay. And I even suggested, I'm like, look, you can turn the camera on and you can record 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 videos without even posting one of them, so that you get repetitions and so that you get better and you get more comfortable over time. And you don't have to have the stress of it being out there. Like, essentially make test projects, like do examples of what you want to do, but you don't have to release them out into the world as you're kind of getting comfortable, but put yourself through tests. I mean, when you're a student, you don't just enter the class and you take the test and you're done. You go in and you learn and you practice before you take the final test to see if you're going to advance to the next level. So I just encouraged her and I said, look, just practice and get better at your craft. And honestly, don't worry too much, because a lot of the imperfections that people see, and this is very important, and this has to do with my music, this has to do with so many things across the board, so many different mediums. So many creatives should really take this into consideration. Your imperfections, your little mistakes, your little things that could have been better or that you just can't get right, I guarantee you that at least 90% of people who are going to consume your product or are going to listen or are going to see what you've made are not going to notice that. And to that young lady who I basically said, hey, you should just put things out, and really people aren't going to really notice if you're a little bit nervous. Like, they're really just going to be looking at you and paying attention to what you're saying. And sure, she may be a little bit nervous, and it may kind of show in like the videos, like maybe, in her voice, you can kind of hear if she's, a little bit nervous. But honestly, I think that most of the time, people aren't really going to notice things that you think are wrong or not perfect about your craft. So that was kind of like the main subject I wanted to tackle with this, is to let people know you're kind of stunting yourself if you're spending too much time reworking something to perfection. when you should do the very best you can, send it out into the world and just replicate and just do it better the next time. Because you learn with experience. You're going to learn how to fix that one little audio problem when you're mixing by doing it, putting it out, seeing what you could have done better, and then fixing it the next time on the next song, or the next art project, or the next business proposal, or the next test you have to take as a student, you know? It's like you have to get reps. Like you have to do things many times before you can be great. So, and this is something that I deal with. Like I literally struggle with this with the music stuff. And up until very recently, I started not worrying about certain little things because it was stopping me from putting stuff out to the world. I would go months and months without putting a song out because it wasn't exactly mixed totally perfect. You know, it's not hitting this certain way, when, to be honest with you, like I've certainly heard some mixing, you know, not errors, but I've heard some little imperfections in songs that I've put out, but not a single person has ever pointed that out to me, because those are things that only I am criticizing myself on. Like, you are your biggest critic, and that's what we all have to remember. And we're only thinking in the perspective of ourselves as the audience. When we are not the audience, we are the one creating. We are the one making the thing. We're the one making the video, the song, the art project, the painting, the proposal, whatever it may be. Like, we're the ones doing it. And the other people are simply going to be taking that in. They don't really know all the components of this. They don't know what you went through to make it happen. They're simply just seeing it and experiencing it. And when we think of ourselves as also an audience member, it's kind of like watching yourself like doing something you're kind of uncomfortable with. Like if you were ever like on TV, or you were ever having to do something in public that you're like, oh, don't watch me, guys. It's me up there and everyone's watching me. It's like, no, it's weird for you, but everyone else is just watching you do your thing and they think it's actually pretty cool. So that's one thing that I've had to realize, especially with the music stuff, is don't worry about perfection, because you likely won't ever achieve perfection because we're human beings and we're not perfect. But get repetitions, put stuff out there, get more comfortable, get more knowledgeable. I mean, guys, there's the delete button. You can always go back and delete the work that you don't like, because you will get better. I mean, I don't suggest doing that because I think that you should always leave a paper trail of how far you've come. That's why I don't really delete anything like off my Instagram. Like, I leave everything on there because it's a timeline. It's me evolving. It's what I went through. It's documenting life moments. And so I think it's really fun to look back and kind of see like what you're able to do and how much better you've gotten. I listened to some of my old tracks that I made like back in like college, my old beats from GarageBand, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this stuff is clashing so much. It's so bad. Why did I mix those weird instruments in there? But it was all just, it was a journey. Like, it was me going through and learning how to put sounds together in GarageBand. Like, I literally learned piano from kids that were piano majors in my dorm. And I can't read music, but I know how to memorize shapes on the piano. I see shapes. So like my fingers fill in the shape, and that's how I learn chords. And so when they showed me, I would mirror that and I would use those chords in my songs, because I hooked in my keyboard to my computer to make the GarageBand beats. So that's how I was able to kind of learn. And I figured it out. And I got better over time. And here I am. It's been literally, I don't even know what, like 2008 when I first got GarageBand, and here we are in 2019. So you do the math. That's how long I've been messing around on my computer with beats and making songs. So stop worrying about being perfect. Stop letting the perfectionism stop you from putting things out, and learn as you go, because that's the way that you're going to get better and more confident, is by putting more stuff out and not being afraid. And I feel like there's a lot of people that, you know, may watch this or may be going through this type of thing. And this is why I wanted to share it, because I've gone through it. But it's like, guys, we're only getting older here, and it's time for us to do our thing and to make our mark and to put stuff out there and do your part to share your creations with the world. And I just want to encourage you guys to not be afraid about being the perfect or the best thing you've ever done right now. Like, you will get there. You will get to your best work. So do the best you can, but don't criticize yourself too much. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to hop on here, guys, and kind of talk about this a little bit. And obviously, we're human beings at the end of the day. That's kind of the message that I want to put out there, is like, we're not supposed to be perfect, guys. So this is not to say that you can't create your best work, or you can't, obviously do the best you can and put your best foot forward, but don't spend months working on, one thing where you could have already finished that thing and put something out like that. And then you would have gone on and had that experience and done something even better. Like, in the same time where you could have spent doing, where you've spent on one project, you could have literally finished 5 or 6. So it's also kind of a time management thing. And although I am not perfect at doing this, I have gotten a lot better. And I feel like my most recent songs have just been a lot more like fun and just like energetic. And I'm not trying to take myself too seriously, because like, what is the point? Like, do I want to be like this super serious artist and like, work on my stuff for years and years and then put out? It's like, no, like, I want to be putting stuff out all the time. It makes me feel good when people are kind of constantly hearing stuff from me, and I'm able to put out different messages and not all the same thing. It's like, I can have fun, I can do a ballad, I can do a fun pop song, because I really love all that kind of stuff. And here's the thing, it's kind of the landscape of where we are now in this age of social media and the ability to just put something out there so easily and freely. Like, we all have the tools in our hand. Like, we all have these devices right here that we can simply create something on the phone and put it out. Like something like editing photos, which for so many years, you'd have to do on a big desktop computer. You can now do on your phone. So, and I know a lot of photographers out there who are perfectionists as well. And I know that, there are people out there that stunt themselves when they could be doing so much more, because it's not about putting out just whatever. It's about putting something out and getting better, like actually using that to be better on the next time. So I don't want to get it confused and say, hey, rush through your stuff and put out as much crap as possible. No, I'm never going to put out, a bad song just to put something out there. Like, I'm still going to spend my time and I'm still going to work hard at something, but there can be a happy medium there, and you can kind of learn as you go, which is kind of cool about that. But anyway, this is what's kind of been on my mind lately. It's something that I've gone through, honestly, for the past few years. And I feel like there might be somebody out there watching or listening to this that might be going through this. And I hope that this kind of flips a little switch in your mind and encourages you to, hey, that thing that I'm working on, I need to just like wrap it up in the next day or two and get it out there. Cause like, people want to see that. Like, the world needs great stuff and great projects. So I encourage you guys to get out there, finish your projects, be as prolific as possible. We're in the social media age where we can literally create something and have it out there almost instantly. So it's an amazing kind of era to be in. So I think we should all kind of take advantage of that and really share the stuff that we create. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's why I'm kind of doing these videos, because I want to just encourage people to do their best. And I feel like I have a passion for, like, people can tell me like their ideas and like what they wish they could do. And my mind is like a machine that figures out like, okay, how can I explain to this person, okay, you should do this, this, and this, and like make it happen. Like, I try to be as encouraging as possible and kind of use like my knowledge of business and, digital and my experience in the entertainment business to be like, hey, like, this is very much possible and you can do this. But I guess the overall message is still, don't let your perfectionism get in the way from you being creative and prolific. And I think that's really important. So guys, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. I love doing this kind of stuff. I can just kind of set this up and kind of go on a tangent. But I hope it can help some of you guys along your journey. I know I got a lot of creatives out there that follow me and that watch my stuff, and you guys send me your stuff. And there's some of you guys are incredibly talented. And I only want you guys to go the distance and do the best you can. And so anything I can do to kind of help or suggest things, I just want to put that out there to the world and keep encouraging you guys, because I had amazing family and friends encouraging me on my journey. And there were certainly times I wanted to give up or say, hey, like this song's not good enough. Like I can't put this out, or this video, or this audition was so bad. Like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this acting thing. And I always had people around me that were saying, keep going. Don't give up. Like what you're doing is great. Like you're almost there. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel like I need to be to some of you guys out there who maybe don't have that family member or friend who's doing that constantly in your life. So I'm just doing this to try to encourage some people out there, guys. But thank you so much for listening. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here watching this. I'm going to try to do more of these videos because I have a lot of fun doing them, and it's good to kind of connect with you guys on a different level. This is just something I didn't think would evolve into what it is, but I'm enjoying it. So, guys, if you want me to tackle a certain topic, comment below in the YouTube comment section, and I'll read some of them and I'll try to tackle them on my next little episode of whatever the heck this is. So it's been a lot of fun, guys. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.